What up? What up? What's up, everybody? It's me, Molly Ruland, live from the makeshift Heartcast Media Studios in my living room. Welcome to another edition of What's in That Cup? You guys want to know what's in it today? I'll never tell. I'll never tell. Don't tell the boss either, by the way. It's Thursday, pretty sure, almost towards the end of the week. It's been a doozy. I don't know about you guys. I've had a good week. I've had a great week. I'm having a bad day. I don't know. I'm allowed to have a bad day, right? The good news is today's guest is the perfect guy to have a bad day with. That is not really what I meant to say, but I think you guys will understand as we get there, but I'm gonna not waste any more of your time with my ridiculousness. I'm gonna go ahead and bring our guest in. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shafer Minnick. How you doing today?
Hey Molly, how's it going?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's nice to see you here for sure. I'm gonna put your name up. There you go. Yeah, man.
Beautiful.
I'm excited for our conversation today. What a time, right? Like here we are.
What a time indeed. Yeah, I'm super excited. Thank you so much for having me on. And I'm sorry to hear that you're having not a great day, but by the end of the hour, I promise we're gonna work really hard to turn it all around for you.
I'm here for it. I'm down to be a guinea pig of mind mastery.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's shaping up to be a beautiful day here in DC, so that's kind of cool. The sun is shining. Where are you located actually?
So I'm here in DC. I'm in DuPont. So funny
Ah,
story about that. I have rediscovered one of the silver linings for me of the social distancing is I used to be a huge outdoor biker. I've done 7 centuries, which are 100-mile rides, and one Olympic triathlon, which definitely will never happen again because I hate running. I attempted to run like the first nice day we had like 3 weeks ago, and I literally made it 6 blocks and was like, nope, this is still not for me. But so I went out on the Capitol Crescent Trail this morning, beautiful, like 10 miles out to Bethesda, and I stopped to put air in my tire, and literally the monsoon started.
yeah.
And so I had to call an Uber and be like, take me home, please. But now it's gorgeous again. So
Yeah.
I didn't have my timing right.
Exactly. That's super cool. I'm a big biker too. I'm a big cyclist. I've only done 1 century, and it was bike to the beach, so 100 miles to the beach.
Oh, beautiful. That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, it was super cool, right? Like, why not end up at the beach if you're gonna bike 100 miles, you know? But what they didn't tell me is that, like, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what I envisioned, but everybody was like, "Yeah, there's a lot of hills getting out of DC, then it's flat." And that's a flat out lie, is what that is. Like, if anybody ever tells you bike to the beach is flat, they're lying. It is the most horrendous hills I have ever climbed in my entire life, just back after back after. I mean, it's in the first 30 miles is nothing but hills. I didn't know how I was gonna make it to the end of the 30 miles. And then you get on a bus and they take you over the bridge because you can't ride your bike
Uh-huh.
on the bridge. And
Right.
like I fell asleep on the bus. I was like having an existential crisis. I was like, how am I gonna pedal 70 more miles?
It
Right?
was just a power nap. It was just a power nap to get you recharged and ready to go do it again.
I don't know. It might have been I might have just shut down. It might have been like a shutdown panic attack and not a nap at all, quite frankly, because I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna get this done. Um, and
But you did it.
everybody's like, yeah, once you get over the bridge, it's like super flat. That's not true at all, you know, but it's still 70 miles and you're right on Route 50. So like you also have the added pressure of like trucks going by. Like there's no
Yeah.
barricade or anything for you. So you're just like riding on Route 50 for like 70 miles
Yeah.
on a
Praying to
bicycle.
like the Jesus of sweet corn and being like, please, please don't die.
Like, for real, and then it rained, like, a couple times, you know, like, hard on that ride, and some people were just like, "I'm just gonna keep pedaling." I was in the bushes with, like, a trash bag over my head. I was like, "I am not I am"
Yeah,
like
I stopped on the trail today and I was like, I wonder if I should just wait here, like wait it out. This feels like a summer kind of storm where it's just going to be crazy rain and then pass. And then I was like weighing the pros and cons. And so I'm still like a little bit trepidatious. I got hit by a car in December on my bike and I had to have
oh,
surgery. And
oh,
so I was like,
Jesus.
so even if the rain stops, the trail's going to be super wet and then you're going to
Yeah,
feel unstable and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, nope, you're here. You can see like River Road.
yeah,
It'll be easy for an Uber to come pick you up. So just cut it.
totally. Yeah, I spend a lot of time on that trail. More the, C&O towpath more so than the Capitol Crescent, but, they split off right around
Right.
there, because we go bike camping out there a lot,
Oh, cool.
which is my jam,
I'm gonna people on the IG Lab are like, "What are you supposed to do?" So I'm telling them to join the link in bio.
Yeah,
Carry on.
there you go. Yes, Instagram people, join the link in bio. Come on, join the party. Oh, actually, that
That's right.
reminds me, I should start my little Facebook watch party in case anybody wants to tune in. But,
I'm sure they do.
yay, there's Lisa Shapiro. All right, let's do this. I'm multitasking on a lot. This is what happens when you're like producing your own content real time. This is it. This is it.
It's just scrappy. It's
That's
scrappy. It's what we do in 2020.
that's right. I mean, sometimes you just gotta.
You just got to ask yourself, what would Beyonce do? And I think she would do exactly what we're doing.
That's solid. I've never put it in that lens before, but I'm here for it. Like channel my inner
It
Bay.
it really depends on what day it is. And I've asked this in staff meetings before. What would Serena do? I'm a huge tennis fan.
Nice.
I've seen Serena Williams play live matches 17 times. I was supposed to get to number 20 this year, but Corona is not. She's not doing me any favors with that. I still
No.
have in my little office. I have what I call an action board, and so going to the U.S. I have 2 weeks blocked to go to the U.S. Open
Mm.
and see Serena. So I've literally asked in staff meetings, what would Serena do, and then what would Beyonce do. So those are like my inner spirit animals always.
I wonder who mine are.
Just off the cuff, who's the first person? Who do you think?
I mean, like, what would Jerry do? But that's like my old Grateful Dead years. You know what I mean? Like, Jerry. I don't know what Jerry would do right now,
Wouldn't he
honestly.
just like smoke some weed?
Yeah,
Like
he'd just play
I think I, I
guitar
think
and
I think Jerry would be like in a bunker underground, like just like playing a guitar, getting high as fuck. Oh, sorry, I probably shouldn't cuss
no,
like
you can curse. I can't
that.
help
Okay.
myself. I curse all the time. No, I think I don't know. What would the Grateful Dead be doing right now? They'd be like at Owsley's house eating acid by the gallon, and they would just ride it out to the end of the world. Just probably my guess. I don't
It's so
know.
funny that you say that. I talked to one of my friends 2 weeks ago, and she was like, "We're gonna go and do an ayahuasca ceremony in Joshua Tree," and I'm like, "I feel like that's not social distancing." And she's like, "But we're gonna go for 10 days, so if we all have it, then it's kind of like a form of quarantine, anyways." And I was like, "Mm, "Okay, like I'm down with it."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a tricky one. You could just all die together is what could happen. I don't
Right?
know. I don't know. Like, I'm all for like psychonaut experiments, right? And like understanding like there is more to the world and like what our brains are processing. Like, I'm a huge fan of all that. I think there's a lot of
Hmm.
like really great beneficial therapeutic things that can come from like hallucinogenics, like under the right circumstances. But like you couldn't pay me all the money in the world to eat any hallucinogenics until this virus is gone. There's no way I am going down that rabbit hole on
Well, that
purpose.
was right. That was kind of my thing. I was like, they're canceling all like elective surgeries. Like, there's just we're unsure of what the medical system can hold.
Right.
So going into the middle of the desert.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I've been really that's part of the reason why I haven't been riding my bike so much is because it's really hard to enjoy it because I'm thinking the whole time if I wreck and I have to go to the hospital, this could cause my death,
uh,
right? And so like I'm with you because I've had some traumatic incidents on my bike as well. And so I stopped riding as much because like I had somebody legit try to kill me on my bike last year. Um, and so I've been getting back into the swing of things, but just during this virus, like I can't help but hear that nagging voice inside my head. And I mean, I don't fall off my bike, often. This is not like a recurring issue for me or anything, but I can't help but think about that. Like, is it responsible for me to go ride my bike? So I've just been running up and down my stairs instead inside the house.
Molly, I wish you wouldn't have said that to me because that's like where I'm finding my joy right now.
I
But
know. I'm so sorry. I'm
and
so
and
sorry.
I'm just getting like back into it. Because I was like that, like because I'm a commuter biker, I don't have a car here in the city, and so
Yeah.
after I got hit, when I first started to get back on the road, I was like, terrified, like, oh my God, like any car would come by. It was almost like I had PTSD.
Totally. Totally.
And so now I'm like, well, shoot, maybe I shouldn't be riding my bike outside.
Well, I think the main thing is just, like, go slow. I always ride like an asshole. I'm always, like, riding with no hands and, like, listening to go-go, so, like, I'm, like, reeling that
Oh,
in a
no,
little
no,
bit.
no.
Uh,
I don't do that. No,
uh,
ma'am.
I mean, it's an expression. I'd like to just, so none of that. I'm riding more carefully, and I think if you stay on, like, the trails and stuff and away from cars, you also, like, mitigate the risk because cars are what make biking dangerous, not biking.
Yep. Preach.
Um, exactly. So, yeah. But what are we gonna do, man? We gotta have joy someplace, right? And I need to work out. So running up and down the stairs actually provided a great workout yesterday. I'm looking forward to that again today.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that was actually, I know we're gonna shift into the mindset topics. But that was the hardest thing for me really because I still probably have a whole journey that I'm working through with food and fitness and things. But I used to weigh over 300 pounds, and now I weigh in. If you're just listening and not watching, I weigh in at like 175, depending on the day.
Hmm.
And not that weight has anything to do with it, because I'm like such a believer of like weight is just bullshit, and it's a whole bunch of that. But I still have a lot of things that I associate like food with rewards, and I like struggled with what they would term exercise bulimia for a while, where like I would need to work out for like 3 or 4 hours a day in order to
Hmm.
like go and have like a nice dinner with my friends.
Right.
But when shutdown happened and I could no longer like go take group fitness classes, I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And so when I rediscovered like, oh, you could just like go right outside on the trails and like be in the sunshine and do all this stuff, I was like, yeah, this is so great. But one of the silver linings for me is I really have to give it up to the fitness community. And in my coaching work, I've been able to help a number of fitness instructors and brick and mortar studios pivot from a physical presence to going online very quickly. But the amount of content that was put up and the amount of people who were giving really quality classes and really quality experiences has been awesome. And I've been able to try things that I would not feel comfortable trying with a bunch of people around. Because
Right.
I'm just like everyone else. I don't want to look like the biggest asshat in the room. So I've done a lot of dancing around in my living room to different things. But that's definitely been one of the silver linings for me because I need the endorphins. Like if I
Yeah.
don't get to do it, I would literally be in a depressive state on my bathroom floor.
I can dig that. I think that's been part of the problem is, like, just not having some sort of outlet. Cause I used to ride 70 to 100 miles a week, like, that was just on average, you know?
Hmm.
I did that so I could eat chocolate cake in the manner that I love to. Uh,
Girl, eat the cake.
Oh,
Eat the
oh,
cake.
you don't have to tell me twice. Trust, I'm 44. It took a long time to get this way, right? So, yeah, I mean, but now that I'm not riding like that, I'm feeling it, and I like the feeling of being fit, right? Because it's the same. It's not
Hmm.
about weight. It's about like how you feel and being active and getting your heart rate up and getting sweaty. Like sweating is really important. Like you can't just not
Yeah.
sweat. That's how we like get rid of a lot of stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to get my staircase workout groove on because I figure I can like listen to a podcast or I can listen to something during that time and I can just do like reps up and down my stairwell in the house.
All right,
Um,
cool.
right? It's
I'm here
12
for it.
steps, like, it gets you all hot and sweaty, and, you do that, 20, 30, 40 times a day, like, now you're doing something, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. I
trying to
love that. I
adapt
love
because
that ingenuity.
yeah, because 'cause I'm doing, like, the workouts with YouTube, but it's kinda hard to, like, get, like you don't like, I don't know, I'm not feeling like I'm getting, like, a workout, I'm just, like, awkwardly doing bad yoga in my bedroom, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not it's important, but it's not that, so yeah.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
one of the things that I love, in terms of like if you're like a yoga person, but you want to feel like you're sweating and moving. There's a class called The Class by Taryn Toomey, and it's kind of like if you took a yoga plus soul cycle plus like a screaming class. Like they really encourage you to like scream and let your shit out. I love it. It's so good. I've taken it. Their main studios in New York, and they have a really strong digital platform.
Nice.
And So that's like, I'm not endorsed by them by any means, but I found it to be fantastic, and just to like scream through some of the bullshit that's happening right now.
You're gonna have to put that link in the description for
Yeah,
sure.
I will
I
for
need
sure.
some scream therapy. Usually, I'm just yelling at myself or my dog. No, don't report me for yelling at my dog, please, internet. But yeah, yeah, I mean, we just gotta do the best we can right now, right? I mean, it is what it is, like, taking time for that mental health, like, I took a good break on Sunday and got a lot of rest, and I'm no doubt that that really helped with getting through the first half of this week, well.
Yeah,
Um,
so let me ask you about that. Like, as a fellow entrepreneur, are you in this mode? Because like I'm seeing a lot of differing things, and I'm hearing it from my coaching clients as well. That it's like, I'm really encouraging my clients to take this as an opportunity to look at your processes and procedures, to really like build your own list of things. Like, I know you and I talked about this from like an email acquisition
yeah.
perspective. Are you kind of feeling the like, oh my god, I gotta hustle, I gotta do stuff during this pause? How's that working for you?
No, that's sort of like generalized. Like I always feel that way because like there's always some back end system to optimize, like always. And I'm always like coming up with new products or new offers and like making sure Acuity is working. And I'm a big fan of automation. So everything like triggers something else. So like when someone
Hmm.
books, it triggers a calendar event and then that triggers a Trello board and that triggers a Slack alert. So like I'm pretty like in tune with all that stuff. I'm
A
definitely getting
giant game
life.
of mousetrap happening in your world.
Totally, but it works, so it's good, and, I'm getting my shit together with all my taxes and all that kinda stuff that I've been putting off for
Ugh.
a long time. Luckily, I have an accountant, and she's amazing, Little Fish Accounting, shout out to them, Keela and Kedron, but, yeah, for me, it's a combination of things. It's the unknown. It's like worrying about my mom, worrying about stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, worrying about my roommate who's still working, and just the general, like, uncertainty of things. Because 'cause I'm not a big worrier, but, like, it's, like, there. It's just, like, this, like,
Hmm.
little hole in my chest. It's just kinda there. Then, there's pressure to, keep my staff employed, right? Like it's not just me. I'm not just like, oh, I could just hole up on the couch for 2 months and get a few clients and like skate through it. Then when the sun comes out, regather. Like that's not an option. I have 7 employees and some of them are global and some of them are local. And like,
Hmm.
some of them were just hired very recently because the growth started to happen. It was just me for
Sure.
a long time and one engineer and then I've started to build up new staff, and some of them are global. So some of them are in India, some of them are in the Philippines, and like their situation is like really bad there. Like in the Philippines, they're saying if you leave your house, we'll fucking shoot you. So
Wow. No
yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, the president like went on the news and was like, "You'll either get like fined or shot." No big
Ay
deal.
ay ay.
And then in India, like, people are already all sent home, and some of these people are walking hundreds of miles to go back to their native villages because they were working in these cities that are now defunct, and they're like dying, walking, and bringing back the disease to their villages. So, I mean, so I I you know, I mean, I don't want to let go of them anyway because 'cause we're still doing business and things are still happening, and I can't, like, build websites for people without my web development team, you know what I mean? But there's an
Hmm.
extra
Hmm.
set of pressure there because, like, that's everything, like, that money going to those guys in India, like, could be really, like, literally keeping, like, the entire family alive right now, like, for
Sure.
real, you know? Um, and so I want all those people on my team, and I don't feel like a sense of obligation, but it's just a little bit of it's just that pressure. It's that extra boot on the chest, right? It's like it's not just
Sure.
me; it's 7 of us, and so that's a lot to process, right? Especially as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur who's mostly run my business by myself. I mean, with my old company, there was a lot of people involved, but it was just me on the documents. It was just me getting the money. It was just me taking the risk. Like there was no business partner. There was nobody else making decisions. There was nobody else. And so now it's like, just that on top of everything with the responsibility of other people. And, at the end of the day, like I'm an empath, right? Like, even though I hate that shit, I hate labels. I really do. I'm a sensitive motherfucker. Okay. So I feel things, I do.
Hmm.
I just
Hmm.
hate labels because I feel like like we change, we go through things. We're like butterflies. We go through different periods of our life and just do you and be cool with it, but don't label me, right? But like I feel things and I feel like, all the posts that I'm trying to ignore on social media are like impossible for me to ignore. They upset me. They like, even if like just scrolling, I feel my chest tightening up. Like just everyone's
Mm-hmm.
angry. Everybody's talking about politics. And then now Bernie dropped out. So people are like, oh yeah, you Bernie. But like, and I get that everybody's dealing with their stuff in their own way, but like I just wish people understood that like while you're upset about like Bernie or whatever, there's like some kid at home who's like being burned by his parents because social services haven't checked in on, like there's so much more going on here, and it's like people adding all this noise and like
Mm-hmm.
not enough compassion, and that
Yep.
gets to me, you know what I mean? that
Mm-hmm.
that gets to me. And stress, right? Like stress, I had a really stressful morning, so I went from good to like kind of tipped a little bit because I woke up at 6 a.m., hit the ground running late, and that stress just sort of, I was thinking about it while I was eating lunch. That stress will make things that are doable feel impossible, you
Yep.
know?
For sure.
Like QuickBooks was like, "Yeah, we're not gonna send you those deposits till next week." And like, it's not the end of the world, but it felt like the end of the world for a second there. So
Well, what happens
sometimes,
is death by like 1,000 paper cuts.
right, right. And so it is what it is, right? You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, so, for me, the rest of the day is like, I'm excited to have this conversation with you, so you can share some information with me and our listeners and stuff. And then after that, I'm just going to isolate two things on my to-do list that need to be done that I will actually feel good about and will bring me a little bit of joy. And I'm going to take an hour break, and then I'm going to come back, do those two things, and be done for the day, right? And that's just how I'm going to
Work through it.
work through
Yeah.
it
Well,
because it is what it is.
let's are you down to like go through some like real time coaching while we're
Hell
here
yeah.
and see
Let's
what we
do
can
it.
do? Cool.
Psychoanalyze me, man. Do it.
So it's actually my practice is not out of psychoanalyzation. I'm not a so full disclosure, I'm not a psychologist. My undergrad was in finance and logistics, and I have my MBA, so I'm like been very business focused.
Yeah.
But I have done a lot of work in personal development. I'm what's called a certified high performance coach, which is actually a designation that's out there. And so what that means, because people are like, okay, well, like, what does that mean? That kind of sounds like some like hocus pocus bullshit. And so really people that are high performers, if you look across any any industry or really any definition, so doctors, entertainers, athletes, are people that perform at a optimal level consistently, right? Like you'll hear in sports a lot of times people talk about like streaky players or people that never reach their full potential because they don't show up consistently. And so my whole practice is around how do we allow you to dial in? How do we allow you to really focus? Because to me, it's one of the things that I really believe is it's not when, it's within. I think that each of us has a really unique set of skills that are downloaded in our DNA. And everything that you're called, everything you're created, everything you're destined to be is already inside of you. And especially now in 2020, like to your point, there's just so much noise and bullshit that just like clogs that system up. And so one of the things that I do with all of my clients from a jump whenever we get on any meetings is first thing, start with something we're grateful for. So I'm going to ask you, what are you grateful for today?
I am grateful for my staff. Honestly, I'm grateful for all the people that believe in the work that we're doing and are showing up every day and getting it done. I'm grateful. Grateful for Michael Aiken, the conversation that we had, for Link Strategic Partners. I'm grateful, for a lot of stuff. Actually, I could list a whole bunch of people right now for sure.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. And then the second thing that we always do is we start with some sort of breathing or energetic moving exercise. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, even though you're looking at me through the screen. And so anyone that's on as well, this is something that's really great. So what we're going to do is we're going to inhale for a count of 4. You're going to hold your breath for 7 counts, and then you're going to exhale for 8. So just kind of shake everything out. Try to like shake out your cheekbones. We hold a lot of tension around our eyebrows. So I always invite people to give themselves a little massage up there as well.
My
And then
eyebrow.
yeah. All right, so we're gonna inhale for 4, for 3, for 2. You're gonna hold it for 7, for 4, for 3, and then you have a controlled exhale for 8. For 4, for 3. We're gonna start again. Inhale it for 4, for 3, for 2. You're gonna hold it for 7, for 4, for 3. This time I want you to exhale really loudly. Like you're just like throwing out all the pressure, all the bullshit, everything that pisses you off, everything that's kind of like stressing you out. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Shake your whole body out. We're gonna go through 3 more times. Your objective as we
Three
go
more
through
times.
is on your 3
Okay.
more times. On your exhale, to make each exhale a little bit louder, I want you to imagine that you have like a glass of wine right in front of you, and you're trying to literally push the glass of wine over with your breath when you exhale.
Okay.
I know it's like why waste wine in
I
this
know.
particular environment, or like
Can
think
I
about
push
it
a
like
Republican over instead?
there
Like,
you go, exactly, yeah,
just kidding.
Mitch McCullough.
Yeah, exactly.
It's or like that guy in Ghost, the old school '90s movie where he was like trying to teach Patrick Swayze you got to push through. Think about it
Yeah,
like that too.
yeah. Okay.
All right, we're
I'm
gonna
ready.
inhale for 4, for 3, for 2. You're gonna hold it for 7. You got 4. You got 3. You got 2. Big exhale, big exhale. Blowing over the entire Republican Party. You're getting 45 out of office in November. Yeah, pushing them hard, pushing them hard. And we're gonna go again. Inhale for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, and hold. You got 3, 2. Big exhale, big exhale.
Sorry for blowing into my
3,
microphone, people.
2, 1. No, it's good. They know what's up. All right, last one, best one. You're gonna inhale for 4, 3, 2, and hold for 7, for 6, for 5. Coming up, you've got your biggest, loudest, craziest breath right now. Exhale for 8, for 7. You got 4, you got 3, you got 2, and you got 1. And shake it out. Open
Woo!
up. A little bit better, yeah.
I feel like a whole new woman. I'm like just slurring now. You know?
Yeah,
All
but so it's
right.
really there's a lot of neuroscience and a lot of research that's been done with what's called our sympathetic and our parasympathetic nervous systems. And so what happens to us is like when you start a day like you did today at 6 o'clock and you're like, fuck, I woke up late. Like I have all this stuff to do. Like probably is still spinning in your mind from, when you went to bed last night, like, how am I going to pay these bills? How long is this thing going to last? There's so much uncertainty. And then, we go and scroll and it's like, it compounds
Yeah.
and so really this idea of a 4-7-8 breath allows us to, it's literally cleansing your body, it's moving all of the cells and pushing a lot of the dead weight out and creating space for new things. And so my next question, just based off of kind of what you had just said, is how much time do you spend on social a day?
I've been limiting it because I've been really busy, to be honest. It's just any time on there, just like anytime, I'm just too sensitive, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
know that, you know?
And
Um,
so or I'm not going to make an assumption. Are you going on to do like business related activities and something else like sees you, or what's the draw for getting on in the first place?
it's always to like, yeah, because I run so much of my business off of there, and so
Uh
it's
huh.
like there's so much content going out on there. It's just a lot, and so like I have apps set on my phone, so I can't like access the apps until like a certain time of day,
Okay.
and so that way like I'm not unnecessarily bringing social media into my life for no reason, um, but yeah,
Okay.
I think
Have,
what it is, it's just like there's this voice inside anyway, right? Like I'm already stressed. So then when you just see it echoed by everybody else on social media, it's hard to then like like you spend all morning being like, no, man, we got this. Like everything's gonna be okay. It's gonna be a better world. Like we're gonna just get
mm-hmm.
through this together. Like people are gonna have more compassion. People are gonna be more community based. And then you get on Facebook and it's like all that stuff you really wanted to like get behind just gets diminished with like
Yep.
7 posts. And
Yep.
not
I
diminished
feel you.
right. It doesn't take that away, but it's just like, yo, I'm trying to. convince myself that
Yeah.
everything is gonna kind of be okay. And then you get on there and it just gets like, just, like people just.
So here's a concept I would like to kind of talk to you about. So there's this concept in psychology, and so generally it's accepted that we have two systems that we run off of as people. There's system one, which is like survival. It's what we all know. It's what's around us. It's if you ever talk to like um, I have a really amazing youngin therapist that I see every week, and she's like my total godsend. And I think everybody should go see a therapist like right now more than ever.
Yeah.
But um, in any event, part of what she has told me a lot is you're the type of person who's, because I'm very empathic as well, that you will get pushed around by your emotions. And
Yeah.
her, like, our objective, our work together is always, how do I get back in the driver's seat where I'm driving the emotion versus being pushed around by it. And so what I've learned through my work with her and through my own research and my own coaching is that's really what's called system one, which is these like things that we know from like a very base level, like when you see like a toddler just completely melt down because like they don't get the cookie that they want. Or like one of
I
my
can
friends,
relate.
I want to text chain. All of my friends are like at the childbearing age, and so I'm on this text chain with like 8 moms that are talking about how like they're really concerned they're not going to make it out alive now that they like have their kids home until September, and
Yeah.
so my friend Bryn was like, Isla just told me I'm the worst mother ever because I wouldn't let her watch another hour of television. But it's it's that kind of thing, right? Where you have this meltdown moment because they don't know how to express themselves, and so that's system one. And when you go into system two, is this kind of like heightened level of cognition and understanding and awareness. And it's really hard for us to get to system two, like just generally, and it's even harder because we have shorter attention spans. There's like
Right.
continuous news cycle. There's so many things that are competing for our attention to get there. And so there's this whole theory that I've read a lot about. It's called the relative weight of importance and duration, or they call it RWID thoughts. And so what that means is the more, it's kind of like you are what you eat, but for your mind. So the more that we think about or ruminate on or hold on to these things of like, shit, I don't know like what's going to happen with the world. I don't know when my business is going to be profitable again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay these people. And then by extension, are they going to be able to take care of their families? And, it becomes this like snowball of things. And so, a lot of people where I think kind of like life coaching or even to some extent like psychologists and therapists are get like a bad rap or um, they don't like take it to a step where it's like, okay, yes, that's bad, and how do I get out of that? How do I fix that? And so something I really pride myself on with my coaching practice is like I'm not gonna leave you there because that's just like not helpful. It's like, hey, here's like this gigantic scab that we just picked open. Now let me squeeze like lemon juice in it and be like, okay, we're done now.
Yeah.
Um,
Your time is
so,
up.
yeah, right.
Next.
So it's two steps that I've really worked through with my clients a lot. And so the first one is to become more mindful of your thoughts in the present moment. And so this is something literally, it's why it's what I call the shower effect, which is like we get these great ideas in the shower. We have these like epiphanies because it's one of the only places in the world where people cannot like touch you literally and your phone is not with
True.
you and things like that.
Right.
And so my what I encourage all of my folks to do is um, I'm a big proponent of time blocking and doing things like that. But so to set an intention before you start a task. And so literally to the point that I have them
Mm.
write on a post-it note. We work in 50-minute blocks with anybody that I work with. And so to write on a post-it note, what am I going to accomplish here? And so also as part of that, they check in with their thoughts at that moment. What am I focused on? Am I focused on like what I'm hungry, like it's lunchtime? Am I focused on happy hour after work? Am I focused on the fight I had with my significant other this morning? Or am I focused on getting this shit done? Am I focused on coming up with creative ways to pivot the business or completely shift the business to be something that's in this new world order that we're in? And so to just be really aware of that, because a lot of times we're just not. A lot of times we're just like, you're kind of going with it. And I think, especially when we work if you work in an office, if you work around other people, you become subservient to kind of what other people need and what other people want. And so I myself have been like a remote worker for honestly the better part of 20 years, because I've been in consulting for a long time. So I was always jumping all around. So, all of my friends that are kind of freaking out about where we are right now, I'm like, this is completely fine for me. But I think one of the silver linings from it can be that folks get an opportunity to build this kind of a practice. They get an opportunity to build this muscle up of being really mindful of where they are, of working in a 50-minute block of checking in and saying, what am I thinking about right now? How is that helping me to work through this? The other thing that I have all my clients do is when they write down on their Post-it note what they're working on for that 50 minutes and what their intention is about that work, is to say, who needs me on my A game right now? And like, to your point of, there's this added level of pressure now that you have 7 employees that you need to work with. To me, I would say that pressure is a privilege, right? To throw it back to tennis again, Billie Jean King has said this since like the 70s. And so, when you're forced to rise to this level, when you're forced to do that, take that, instead of being like, oh God, it's a boot on my chest, is, hey, it's a privilege, it's an honor to be able to be the person that's providing paychecks, food, shelter, clothing for these families, and say, okay, I need to sit down here. I need to make this the best interview that I can with Shafer. We need to reach the most people that we can. We need to drive impact with that, because that's going to help us get more work. That's going to help us to continue to further the cause. And so there's like several components of who needs me on my A game right now. So like,
Right.
your A game is being singularly, and my definition is being singularly focused, just ready to have clarity, ready to have great energy, great conviction about what it is you're doing. When you add the right now component into it, it forces you to prioritize, right? Because what I have found is that it becomes overwhelming, right? It's like, it's everything needs to be done like right here, right now. And if not, then
Right.
like I'm kind of like totally screwed. And
Right.
so when you say, okay, what's actually the priority? Like, it kind of
Right.
forces you to have this gut check moment where it's like, the priority is for me to do this business development work, because that's a long lead time activity. That's going to generate revenue. Revenue is going to make my worries about cash less like, and it's also going to provide the pay stream to these people.
Right.
So I think that we are not taught enough, unfortunately, to think through A to B to C. Um, one of my friends, Katie Shannon, calls it like, we all have our easy buttons. And so, especially now, where we're just taught to Google things because that's how we've kind of grown up at this point. We don't have this moment where it's like, okay, how is A connected to Z down here? And so I would offer that is to become a little bit more mindful, checking in with your thoughts, and the Post-it note activity is massive. If you're someone that like likes apps and things like that, I have a whole thing about how there's actually code for both Macs and PCs where it sets a timer for you for 50 minutes, and then it literally will force you to log out at 50 minutes, and then you take
Right.
like a 3-minute break, and then you come back, and then when you enter your password again, it starts your 50-minute cycle again.
Right.
And so that's something that I, again, we teach a lot in what we do. The second thing is to try to redirect the negative thoughts, which is like, I think everybody's like, okay, just think about this positively. But I just think that that's where so much of our personal power comes from, by choosing what we want to focus on. And so, like, for me, what I would offer for you, if like your number one thing that's just like kind of crushing your soul right now is, okay, how am I going to make sure we have enough cash flow to pay these people, is to take the exact opposite of that thought and say, imagine that we had so much work, imagine that we had so much business that I had to like hire on 70 more people. And then what do you need to do to make that the reality? Because
Right.
I have just found from working and from my own experiences, we get ourselves into these like negative ruts. We get ourselves into these places where we're like, shit, I'm not going to have enough money. I'm going to have to lay these people off. I'm not going to be able to make payroll. And I've been in these situations. I've made the choice to not pay my own mortgage and pay my employees in businesses before. And so, I'm not saying this is like, light work by any means, but like literally flipping it to the polar opposite of whatever it is you're most afraid of, and then instead focus on what are 5 steps that I can take to get to that thing.
Well,
um
so for me, it's so, and I think sometimes when I'm like talking to people, um, like I'm not a worrier. So part of my history is that like I've had a bunch of spinal surgeries. And so when I look far back, like it's nothing but pain and trauma, and they were not pleasant. Like I was alone for most of them. I drove myself to the hospital. Like it was just not a good time. Right. I'm
mhm,
definitely going to have more surgeries. So like I'm not someone who like, I don't obsess about what could happen. I'm someone who only deals with things like when they're in front of me. Like I'm not, so like I'm not a worrier, and I'm not like worried that I'm gonna have to fire anybody. So it's not that. Like we
okay.
actually had a great week, right? Like I have more clients right now than I can even kind of, not that I can handle, but like we're busy. So
Mhm,
it's not a worry thing for me. It's just a generalized pressure. It's just generalized stress. So like I spend my day thinking about like ways we can like optimize what we're doing and how we can improve things for our clients. And like I'm constantly innovating and so I'm good there, which is
mhm,
why I think sometimes these conversations are tough because it's not 'cause, like, I'm all for it. Like, I read Deep Work, like, I'm all for, like, mindset, like, and where you're headed at
mhm,
in the 4-hour work week. I mean, I read 28 books last year, right? So, like, I did a deep dive on all of this stuff. So, I am
yeah,
hip
yeah,
to it, right? And, like, because I've lived my entire life in pain. So, I've
mhm,
learned how to, like, redirect. Like, I don't think about, like, what surgery I'm gonna have. Like, I haven't had a surgery in 10 years, which means I'm probably gonna have one real soon, but I'm not spending any time thinking about that because that's a waste of time. I'm only gonna deal with it when it comes because maybe I'll get another 5 years before my spine fails again. Maybe it'll be next week, but ain't shit I can do about it right now. So I'm just gonna
right.
keep it moving, right? So like I'm not like I have a handle on that, but like at the end of the day, like stress is stress and stress is real right now. Like even if it's not
Sure.
directed at a specific thing, I'm not worried about anything.
Mhm.
I'm worried about
But
everything,
but but but
right?
but
You know
so
what
I
I
would
mean?
so
Like
I would say you're in system 1, right? So it's not like there's not one thing you can pinpoint, but it's still kinda like pushing you around a little bit.
yeah, I mean, it's not affecting my day to day. It's affecting an hour or two here and there. It's just, I think for me, it's more about like learning how to, I don't know. It's a tricky thing, right? Because like who I am is caring about other people, right? Like I don't
Mhm.
worry about things, but I care deeply about people. I'm very like, logic based but passionate person. So like my friends who are experiencing homelessness, like that really upsets me because that shouldn't be happening when there's 1,000 vacant units within a half a mile of the bridge they live under. You know what I mean? Like those are the things that like
Yeah,
that's what
so
hurts
so
my
here
soul, and it's not
right, so
I'm not like, it's just it's hard to pinpoint, right? Because it's a little bit of everything. So I'm very careful with like how I spend my mornings. Like I have a yoga therapist who does guided meditations with me. So I'm hip to all that, but I'm just not sure that you can, even with all that, I don't think you can escape it. You know what I mean? Like especially right now, I feel like there's just some level of stress and pressure that's going to exist.
well, so to your yeah, I mean, and I agree with that. I think my question is my objective always is how do you take the stress and the pressure and make it something that fuels you? So to circle back to your question about or your statement about like homelessness and people that live underneath the bridge, is that of a high enough priority to you, and to where you want to be in your life, that you're willing to invest like time and energy into fixing it.
And I do.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay.
I do funnel those things in healthy, positive ways. It's a big part of who I am. It's helping other people. It always has been. I'm definitely an advocate for people, and I've
Hmm.
been elevating and amplifying voices for a long time for this exact
Yeah.
reason, right? So, um,
So can
yeah,
I ask you, with
yeah,
that
yeah.
specific example, since you've taken action, what, like I definitely can identify with, not like being like, okay, like this is something that we could solve. Um, what part of you kind of goes it, what feelings do you have like attached to that? What's the like emotion that you're feeling about like the level of homelessness and things like that?
Because I know what it feels like to not have like support and to be alone, and that's a terrible feeling. And I just can't like it. Just like when they displaced all the people that live under the K Street Bridge. And,
Hmm.
like, I just can't imagine, like, being evicted from being homeless, like, that shit hurts, you know?
Hmm.
Like, I can't imagine that that's a real thing. I can't imagine what it must feel like to feel so unwanted and unaccepted in society that you're being shuffled out from underneath a bridge and people are throwing your stuff away because you're not even allowed to be there. Like
Hmm.
just on a, like, superhuman level, like, that bothers me, And so I do what I
Sure.
can, you know what I mean? I do what I can, um and it's not enough, but I do what I can, and I amplify the voices like I did the town hall with, Street Sense and people who are like, I, like, live streamed it for them for free. Like, I do what I can to help, you know what I mean? Because
Hmm. Hmm.
I can't let it win, right? Like, you can't be a good ally or an advocate if you can't get out of bed, right? So, like, there's a balance there, but, it's just I think it's just a struggle of people who actually give a shit about other people, like I'm not scared or worried for myself right now, but like I understand there are people who are in danger, like people of color in this very community, like are in danger, man, and like it shouldn't be that way, right? So I think some of it is just like this existential, like my mom used to always call me the queen of the Justice League, and I never understood it until I got older, and I'm like, okay, now I get it because I'm always like fighting for everybody else, and I think that's an endearing thing, right? Like, I mean, I have balance. Like, I'm not just out there like screaming into the fucking wind all the time. I know where I can be helpful and where I can't. And yeah, I don't know. I think some of it is just like, I think what it boils down to, right, is just like deciding what your mindset's gonna be, right? And then like kind of taking it easy on yourself. Like I've decided I'm just gonna do the two of the things on my list that will bring the
You're right.
most joy, right? And then I'm not gonna do anything else for the rest of the day, and I've already decided that, and I'm okay with that. And then I'll be ready for tomorrow.
Yep.
And that just is what it is, right? I think that um
I think
all
giving
these
yourself space is amazing. And I
yeah,
think that's actually, so that's, something like I would say I'm a recovering perfectionist, and it's something that I've had to learn a lot through my own work, through high performance and with my clients, is like when you have to say like I have to draw a cut line for self preservation.
yeah,
And one of the big lessons that I had to learn was I'm not looking for perfection. I've come to I've come to believe that perfection is just a synonym for procrastination, because literally the act of perfecting is to continue to refine and to make it better. And the only way you can do that is to put something out into the world. So
yeah,
I think like as entrepreneurs, we a lot of times like we want to like closely hold on to our stuff, that it's like, okay, I can't put this out just yet. Like I have to like fix this one thing on the website. I have to do this, I have to do that. But
yeah,
then you're in an echo chamber of your own mind or your team's mind. And so, what I always tell my clients, people that I talk to when I have a platform like this, is we are pursuing excellence. Excellence
mm,
is our calling card. That's what we're going after. And I tell people that last mile is never crowded. I talk with a lot of people who have a lot of fear of entering into verticals, entering into markets that they say are saturated. And to them, I say, yes, your market is probably saturated, right? Like there's a million people that produce podcasts. There's a million people
Right.
that do similar work to what you do.
Not as
But
good
I
as
would
me though.
say, right, exactly. You got it. Like your market is saturated, but it's not competitive, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's like the most base level I think we can all understand is like construction, contracting. There's a million and one handymen, contractors, people
Right.
that build houses. It's one of the oldest professions in the world. The quality of it largely sucks, right?
Right.
Like, so it's super saturated, but it is not competitive because that extra mile is never, ever, ever crowded. So I want to like 1000% commend you like for the work that you're doing and for the energy that you're putting out. And just really, be able to identify and be able to stand in that. Like, yes, it can seem super, super, super overwhelming. Like, as a white male, like one of the reasons that I work with predominantly females is I believe that unfortunately females have been. I'm reading Glennon Doyle's book Untamed right now, and I'm like super hopped up on it. But I think that females unfortunately have been taught so much that you need to like stand in second place. I was raised by like a wonderful mother who like has put everyone in the world before herself,
Right.
and it's like I believe I feel like I connect really well with women. Like literally 98% of my friends are female, and so I believe that I can help show them that that you are amazing in and of yourself. Like you are literally an unrepeatable miracle. No one can do it the way Molly's going to do it. No one can do it the way Maureen's going to do it, or Karina, or like Susan, any of the people that are in my world right now. And that's your competitive advantage. And I think for women, for people of color, for literally anyone that's not a straight white male, is like, especially in this country, it's been so repressed and kind of pushed down on people. And so I really applaud you for using your platform for good. And I want you to really kind of, to stay focused on that and not be overwhelmed by all the things you can't get to. You know what I mean? Because there's
Yeah.
always, because what I'm hearing is like a twinge of perfectionism. Like, oh, but what about this thing that I couldn't get to? What about that thing that I couldn't get to? Um,
Yeah, not necessarily perfectionism. Like one of my favorite mantras is "Don't let perfect be the enemy of good." Like fuck perfect, it doesn't exist. Like I
right.
wholeheartedly believe that. And I work with people too, and I tell them, look, like I have this one client. She's like, what I'm saying every like is out there. The information's out there, and I'm like, there's no music note that's never been played. There's no word
Right.
that's never been written. Like, it's
Everything at
how
this
you
point
do
is
it.
Googleable. Everything at this
Yeah.
point is Googleable.
Is that a word? I've used it before.
I
Googleable.
think
It should
so.
be a word. If
We're
it's
gonna say yes.
exactly. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think maybe it is not necessarily perfection, but like there is a lot of stuff on my to-do list, right? And like some days, like I'm, just performing at a different pace than others, and like all of it.
Yeah.
I think I just figured it out. All of my production level right now is like 60% of what it used to be, and so maybe that's what it is because it's just like you can only do but so much every day before you just
Yeah.
sort of tap out in
Can
this
can,
kind of environment anyway.
can I ask? So I know you mentioned your yoga therapist. So
Yeah.
what does some of like the rest of your like daily practices look like?
I'm really big on like the first thing I eat being super healthy. And I start my day with lots of intention, gratitude meditations, like breathing exercises and yoga in my room. I'm making a point to do some stuff outside, but every time I go outside, I like freak out. I'm just gonna say that. Like every time I ride my bike, like when I get home, I feel like shit, and I think it's from the pollen. But then it gets me
Yeah,
all in my head,
allergies.
like, oh, that I get to, so like it's not really worth it. But I think since it rained, I might try to go for a ride later because I think the pollen count will be down. That's I think the biggest thing that I'm missing is some sort of like outlet.
Hmm.
And then yeah, I'm a social person, so I think just not being around people in the same way. My roommate's gone all day, so I'm home. I'm spending a lot of time alone, and I'm somebody who totally does not mind spending time alone. Like I go on vacations by myself. Like, uh, fun little fact about me: for about a year, I was a hotel analyst. I was like a secret shopper, but for hotels, resorts, and
Oh,
casinos.
that's a cool
Um,
job.
it was a super cool job. So I traveled around. So like prior to this job, like I wouldn't eat alone. Like I wouldn't go out to dinner by myself and eat alone. Like I wouldn't do any of that stuff. And then I got this job where I was forced to
Yeah.
go to hotels, and I had like fake names because it was before 9/11. So I had like aliases and stuff like that. And so I would check into these hotels and
You're
do
like
all these like
Holly Go Lightly.
yeah, and I had to be like I had to like go to the restaurant and like time how long it took for the server to come and how long the appetizer took and the main meal and did they offer me bread or breadsticks, right? Like depending on the
Hmm.
hotel. Like so we did every hotel in Parador and Puerto Rico twice a year, which was like kind of a nightmare. And then we
Wow.
did all the Lowe's hotels, which was like super high end, so it was like a
Hmm.
really and then we did all the Ameristar casinos, which are like it's the most podunk casinos in the
Where is that?
country. They're on like the banks of the Mississippi. There's
Okay.
one in oh, what is it called? In Jackpot, Nevada, which is like the creepiest place. And like
Jackpot, Nevada.
yeah, people in Utah have told me that that's all they're all incestual there, and it definitely like appeared that way. But anyway, it was a weird job, but I had to travel around the country and pretend to be other people quite often, so that was super weird. But I did it alone, and in that process, like you know, uh, you if you're sitting in a bar at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday in the British Virgin Islands, like you better talk to the person next to you because they got a hell of a story and you're missing out if you don't learn how to
Hmm.
socialize. And so I went from being somebody who was pretty introverted to being an extrovert in some sense or comfortable talking to anybody because I had to go sit at the bar alone and do a bar evaluation and drink 2 drinks. So that means I'd have to sit at the bar alone for 40 minutes. And in the beginning, that was hard. I was
Hmm.
like, oh,
In the beginning, did you take a book to read with you?
Sometimes, because this was before cell phones too. Like, I had a cell phone, but it was like a Nokia, like garage
Right.
door opener. You know what I mean? It like
Yeah.
wasn't a smartphone, so you couldn't do anything with it other than make phone calls. And a lot of times, I was like not in a place that I could even use it. In
Or
Puerto
you could
Rico
play
or
Snake.
Aruba. Yeah, exactly. It was like one of those phones that like when the silver rubbed off, you could see that like gray plastic
Yep.
underneath that like
Hmm.
greenish gray. So yeah, so I love spending time alone. Like I am here for it. I've driven across the country by myself twice. Like I am
Really?
yeah. I kind of like the challenge being alone. I got crazy stories from like traveling across like Dominican Republic. I've got like if I wrote down all the stories that I have, people would think I was lying, honestly. And it's from time being alone, just trusting the universe and trusting my instincts and like going out there and living life.
But how fun
But
would that be? I have a total, sorry to cut you off. I have a
yeah,
great, what I think is a genius idea. I think you should do, while we're in this quarantine time, like a throwback Thursday where you talk about different travel stories
yeah.
each
Maybe I
week
will.
and stream it. And like, if you have any pictures or images, I think that would be super cool for people. But I think this is what I believe just psychologically happens. By Thursday, people are exhausted. It's why like Thirsty
Yeah.
Thursday is a thing and it's like the biggest night for happy hour. And so
Yeah,
I think that would also, I think that's a little bit of what you're feeling from the week, um,
probably.
in general. I think that would be a super cool thing to do, like this time of maybe or even a little bit later. See the problem is that you already told me that it's coffee. So
I know,
I
fun's
know it's not
fun.
Jen. I know it's not Jen.
I know.
But my
Not
my
yet.
question that I wanted to ask when you were talking about your morning, so it sounds like you have this amazing morning routine, which a lot of people do. But are you anchoring? Are you touching any of your intention like physically then during the rest of the day?
Not necessarily. A lot of times it's just like going from meeting to meeting to live stream to client call to
Yeah.
meeting to live stream. It's like a lot of that. So next week I'm actually not going to do as many live streams. I'm not going to do a daily show. I'm going to do like a Tuesday tech talk and maybe like a throwback Thursday and just do it twice a week because it's this show is actually eating up more time than because it's like right in the middle of the day too. Kind of like messes
Yep.
up my flow. And so I'm gonna kind of pare that back a little bit and kind of guide it a little bit more. And
Yep.
we're getting busier, honestly. People are realizing that they also can do a LinkedIn live and that I could do this. I could do even better production for them if I'm not on the show because I can actually like push all the buttons and do
Yeah.
all the fun stuff and like so we're actually getting busier so that won't allow just won't have the time for
Yep.
it. So it's kind of just balancing out, but I do like the idea of like the intention, and I think I could do a better job of breaking up my to-do list with like things that are important and things that can wait, and like, blocking them into concerted efforts and time blocks. Because I read Deep Work by Cal Newport, and he talks a lot about, like, yeah, your brain can only do like 90 minutes is like the max, and then you just tap out,
Yeah.
and that might even be too much, depending on what it is that you're working on, and closing all the other tabs. So I've developed some better habits. That's why I have that app detox on my phone, where it literally prevents you from opening Instagram, LinkedIn, email, or Facebook before 10 a.m.
Yep.
Because by then I'm already at my desk, but I can deal with it at my desk. I just don't need to deal with it when I first wake up. So,
Yep. Exactly.
um, but I like the idea of setting more intention, behind the things that I'm doing. I think that
Yeah.
might be
What
helpful.
what what I would like love, and I'll just put this out on the air, is if we could do like a series of 20-minute things like each morning or mid morning of like quick hits, or maybe we do it at lunchtime where people start to feel it. But like one of the things that I would definitely offer for you is to write down 5 positive questions you could ask yourself. This is another exercise I have a lot of my clients do. 5 positive questions. And there are things like, what am I grateful for right now? How can I have fun right now? And literally, my answer is always like, have a dance party. Like, there's this
Yeah.
super poppy Little Mix song that's out right now, which is like these like British teenager girls.
I'm here
And
for it.
it's like literally the best song I've heard in like 3 months.
I love British people. Well, I love their accents. I'm not trying to
Right?
get
It's,
political,
it's
but
so
like,
sexy, so
yes, I love
sexy.
it.
How can I demonstrate excellence right now is another one that I'll ask people. How can I support someone right now? And how can I
Mm,
laugh out loud right now? Are my 5
mm,
go-tos.
yes.
And I have a timer set on my phone. It goes off at 2 p.m. because that's where I start to feel the slump.
Yeah.
It goes off at 6 p.m. And then it goes off at 9 p.m. because I'm like a solid like second shift worker. I have to force myself to like stop working at midnight each day.
Yeah.
But so things like that, like there's just a lot of little gems and things that are not like gigantic things,
Yeah.
that can be done that allow folks to really do that. So that would definitely be something, that I would love to come back on and explore, or
Yeah.
get out to folks.
Yeah, for sure. I'm down to create some stuff, man. I think that we got through some awesome interviews this past couple weeks with people, and I think it's been really cool, but I think it's time to like dial it in a little bit more and have a little more intention with these things, to
Yeah,
provide people with some useful tips. Because I think also right now there's a lot going around about like, here's 5 things you can do to market your business during a pandemic, and here's 5 ways to pivot, and here's 5 ways, and it's like, yo, how about here's 5 ways to just get through the fucking day. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, there's a
and
lot of pressure on people
mhm.
right now to like pivot your business. Like, it's been 3 weeks. Why don't you have a whole new business plan? Like, yo,
Because
right?
that
Like,
shit is
not
hard and
fair.
does not happen
Yeah.
overnight. And I
No.
wanna yeah, you mentioned you feel like you're running at 60% productivity, and like I just want to like commend you for that, because like we're literally dealing with an unprecedented situation. So like, yes, like as much of a I am high performance, I love it. Like I live at 17th and P. I live, what is it, 2 blocks from Whole Foods. I've gotten my groceries delivered for 3 years, like because I don't want to waste the time to go to the grocery store. Like, and so I don't want to
That's
say
a
waste.
whole other
I don't want to
conversation.
invest the time to go into the
Yeah.
grocery store. Whereas they're now everybody's like, on Instacart, and I'm like, why can I not just get my? I use Instacart so much. I have like a personal Instacart shopper. Like she knows who I am and what produce I like. It's an issue, but because like I value efficiency that much, but also like, listen, I would be 1,000% bullshitting you if I was like, hey, I mean, I am working, and part of my kind of like codependency of myself is when situations like this are crazy, I just put on blinders and I
Yeah.
start working because I can control that. I can control my
Yeah.
own output. But like it is a scary, overwhelming time. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna, I'm not gonna mince words about that. It's about how do you go back to that RWID framework? How do you look at the weight of your thoughts? How do you say, hey, I'm healthy, my loved ones are healthy, I'm in a position where I can provide like a financial ecosystem, I'm a concerned citizen that's making moves and is using a platform to do that. Like,
Yeah.
how do I hate the word reprogram because it makes me think that like we were all like cyborgs or something that like got
Right.
programmed in the beginning.
Like
Um,
small wonder.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I actually think we've never really been like, I don't know that we've been programmed. I think we've just all been like kind of shoved out into the world. And then it's like, okay, you're doing the best you can. And that's phenomenal. And that's why I love the work that I get to do with people, because it's giving them a roadmap for the first time, be it about mindset, be it about starting businesses, or growing businesses, or changing the way your business is functioning. I just really feel like I'm created to be a guide for people, and to be able to try to synthesize their problems and help coach them through that. And so, yeah, I would say if you're running at 60% right now, like, that is okay.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Don't beat yourself up for that. If you're interested in moving the needle, like, how do I get to 70? How do I get to 80? Like, I would love to work with you, to work with other people to help do that. And I think that there's ways that could be done with compassion, and not like, oh my God, go right now. I think there's
Yeah.
ways to be able to say, I'm going to do two more things today. Like you're saying, I got two more reps in
Yeah.
me, and then it's
And
like
that's it.
me, and then it's me in the couch. But tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to hit it hard as fuck. Like, I think that's a
Exactly.
beautiful thing.
It is what it is, right? I'm teaching a class on Saturday, a podcast class Saturday morning, so I gotta show up then too. So, like, if
Yes,
I
plug
kinda,
it. What's
like,
what's 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 the deal? What's the deal with Saturday? Plug it. What's your
yes,
class?
so,
Tell us.
I teach an online, I teach a class on how to set up a podcast, and it's like a Trello board, a whole curriculum. It's like soup to nuts, as old people say. I don't know why I always quote that, because no one I know says soup to nuts except for
But do you?
me.
I say too. Do you know the
Okay.
origin of it?
No, actually, I don't, which
Can,
is why
can,
I feel
can, can I can
silly.
I just drop a knowledge bomb?
Yes,
I know this because I Googled it, because it's Googleable.
it's
Um,
Googleable.
in old school, like in European fine dining in the 1500s, you would begin the meal with soup, and then the
Oh,
courses would progress, and you wouldn't end with dessert. So you would have dessert, you would have like a cognac, a sherry, and then you would have nuts afterwards. And
oh.
so when the expression "you're doing the whole thing from soup to nuts" really literally means you're having this elaborate dinner from the beginning to the end.
Well, I am, and in quarantine times, it might just be soup and then nuts, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
we might
right.
not have it might be a short
Soup,
road.
soup, booze, and nuts, or like the
Yes, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, man. Yeah, well, I would love to, stay in touch and keep building on all of this and find ways
please.
for us to reach more people and, provide some information and some inspiration. We had some people tuning in, so that's awesome. The podcast class, I teach that. I used to do it in person, and then I stopped teaching it, and then I brought it back online, and I dropped the price considerably from $200 to $60. And it's a 3-hour class. It's a lot of information. People who have taken the class and followed my advice and instruction have produced really successful podcasts. So I know that it works. And it helps because it's my way of, like, kind of giving back a little bit, because
Hmm.
it's not people that turn into clients. It's just people who I help on their journey to create better content to make the world a better place. So, um, but that means that I got to work on Saturday morning too. So I feel like, I can
You get to
compensate
work.
by
You get
taking,
you get to
yes,
work on Saturday morning.
I get to work on Saturday, but that means I can kind of do like a half a day Friday and like 3/4 of a day on Thursday. That's how I see it, because we got
That's
to
right.
keep it, yeah, I got to be realistic with my
Keep it
energy
funky, girl.
spend.
Keep it funky.
Heard that. Well, thank you so much for taking the
Yeah,
time.
of course. If I could real quick plug, so I mentioned that I run
100%.
a course for aspired entrepreneurs that are just kind of struggling, working through things. It's called the Passion to Profit Accelerator. It is it's normally a 12-week program. It's still going to run for 12 weeks of assistance, but it's 4 weeks of intensive that will actually get you from concept to proof of concept. Or if you already have something that's out in the market, it'll go through product refinement. And then we'll spend 8 weeks doing a lot of market research, market validation from that. So I know that a lot of folks are just really struggling financially now, and they need to be able to help themselves quicker. So instead of taking the full 12 weeks to have something, it'll be a 4-week program. So by the end of May, you could literally have something where you're out generating cash, making sales, getting things done. So
Nice.
check out my website, which is shaferminnick.com, or follow me on Instagram at shaferminnick. And there's tons of information there. Application window closes next Wednesday. So the 15th. But I would love to hear from any entrepreneurs worldwide. Doesn't have to be local to the DMV.
I'm putting your website up right now. Shafer Minnick. Yeah, and then we should take a moment to shout out Corey.
Yeah, and the IRL team.
That's right, for connecting us. Okay, I just built your little thing. We're gonna put the graphic up. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, so that way you guys can go check them out and join the mastermind and support. And yes, shout out to Corey Lawrence for connecting us. I love Corey. He's one of my favorite people. I met him last year through the DC Startup Week.
Yeah,
Um,
great community.
Super good. So I'll have to ping him and thank him for connecting us. And yeah, man, let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep doing this work, man, and helping people out. I appreciate you taking time today. And so I'm gonna
Yeah,
sign out
yeah.
with oh, go
So
ahead.
if I can have one quick alibi, I
Totally.
like to, since we went into a little bit of coaching at the end of each of my sessions, I like to ask clients what was one aha or appreciation you had during the time.
I like the idea of setting intention behind like what I'm about to do, right? Instead of just frantically doing it. I think that'll be really helpful.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you
you.
to everybody who tuned in today. I appreciate you. Value your time. Hopefully you found it interesting and helpful. You see me struggle a little bit. I'm happier than I was when I started the show.
Yay! Mission accomplished.
Yay! Exactly. Now you know what's in the cup. It's coffee. Sorry. But I'll work on that. Maybe tomorrow it'll be liquid LSD and then shit'll get really real. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Exactly. Exactly. So thank you guys again. I appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. And if you want to do a virtual happy hour later on, you might just want to hit me up because I might be all the way here for that. Thank
Cheers
you.
to